The sky above the training base was always gray, not because of clouds, but because of the smoke rising from the broken cities nearby. The alien alliance had landed 3 months ago, and one by one, human colonies had fallen. Now, only a few places remain. The military called this one base 12, but the soldiers just called it the last fence. It was the final stop before the aliens reached Earth itself. Among the new recruits standing in line was a boy named Toma. He was not tall or strong. He did not speak much, but everyone noticed his hands. His fingers were too long, his thumbs too thick, and his palms had odd lines, almost like cracks in stone. He always wore gloves, but today was the physical exam. Gloves had to come off. When Toma removed them, others stared. One recruit whispered, "He can't even hold a knife with those." Another laughed and said, "Maybe his hands are for hugging enemies." Toma heard it all but said nothing. He had heard worse before. People had always looked at him like he was broken. Even as a child, no one wanted to play with him. His hands could never hold a pen properly. He couldn't hold a glass without crushing it or dropping it. His parents sent him to doctors, but none could explain what was wrong. Now he stood here, trying to become a soldier. He knew he had no place among them, but he had to try. Earth needed every fighter, even someone like him. The drill leader, a man named Rokal, was a hard one. He had seen war before, and he didn't like wasting time. Rokal barked, "You, Toma, pick up the rifle and shoot at the target." Toma stepped forward. He reached for the rifle on the table. His fingers closed around it, but the weapon slipped. Before he could lift it properly, it hit the ground. A few recruits snorted with laughter. Rokal frowned. Again, Toma tried again. This time he gripped it harder, but the trigger was too small for his thick fingers. He tried to aim, but the weapon jerked in his hand. The shot went wide, not even close to the target. Rokal said nothing at first. Then he sighed and said, "You're done. Fall back to reserve line." Toma's face did not change, but inside he felt heavy, like a stone had been placed in his chest. He walked back and sat alone. His hands rested on his knees. They looked like claws, not hands. He stared at them, wondering why they were made like this, why he was so different. Later that night, while others cleaned their gear and ate dinner, Toma sat under the broken wing of an old fighter ship. He touched the ground with his fingers, pressing into the dirt. The soil moved too easily. He scratched a small stone. It crumbled under his grip. Something was strange. He pushed his hand against the metal of the fighter. His fingers sank into it, just slightly. Not with force, but with something else. He pulled back, confused, then tried again. The surface bent under his fingers. Was this strength? No, he had never been strong. Was this some kind of mutation? The next morning, Toma was sent to a squad made of misfits. These were recruits who failed normal tests. One had bad eyesight. One had a limp. One had never even seen a real weapon before. They were told to patrol the outer area. They were not expected to fight. As the squad walked near the edge of the base, a loud sound cracked the sky. A dropship had been hit by alien fire and crashed nearby. Smoke rose from the wreck. Shapes began to move. Not human. The aliens were here. Thomas. Squad froze. The leader, a young woman named Lena, shouted, "Everyone back. We're not trained for this." But someone screamed from the wreckage. A pilot was still alive. Trapped. Toma did not think. He ran forward. "Stop," Lena shouted. "You have no weapon." But Toma kept running. He saw 3 aliens dragging the pilot out. The creatures were tall, armored, and holding plasma blades. Toma grabbed a fallen stick from the ground. It snapped in his hand. One alien turned to face him. It raised its weapon. Toma stepped closer. Then something happened. His vision became sharp. His hands felt like fire. He moved faster than he ever had. He ducked under the alien's swing and slammed his hand into its chest. There was a sound, like cracking stone. The alien flew backward and did not move. The other 2 charged. Toma turned, arms wide. One grabbed him. The other tried to stab him, but Toma caught the blade with his bare hand. The weapon bent. He roared not in anger, but in some deep instinct. He slammed both hands forward. The second alien fell. The third tried to escape, but Toma leaped and dragged it down. When it was over, the pilot stared at him with wide eyes. "Who are you?" he asked. Toma looked down at his hands. They were shaking, but not with fear. They were alive with power. "I don't know," Toma whispered. From the edge, Lena and the squad approached slowly. They had seen it all. No one laughed now. No one joked. Toma had no weapon, but he didn't need one. His hands were not for holding, they were for tearing. The news spread fast through Base 12. Everyone talked about the boy with strange hands who defeated 3 alien soldiers alone. Some called it luck, some called it a trick. Others just stayed quiet, but no one could ignore it. Toma sat on the edge of a broken wall, looking at his hands. He had washed the green blood from them, but the feeling remained. His skin still felt warm. His fingers still twitched. Something had changed inside him, not just strength. It was something deeper, something that woke up only during danger. Lena came to him with 2 cups of water. She offered one and sat beside him. "You saved that pilot," she said. "You also saved us. I saw what you did." Toma took the water, but didn't drink. He still felt unsure. "I didn't plan it," he said. "My body just moved." "That's not normal," Lena said. "But maybe that's a good thing." They both looked out toward the dark sky. Smoke still covered the horizon. The aliens had attacked again, hitting nearby colonies. Base 12 was now on full alert. Everyone knew a full strike would come soon. The next day, commanders gathered. The squads. Toma stood with the misfit group. Most still looked nervous around him. A few avoided his eyes. Even though he had helped them, they didn't understand what he had become. An officer walked by and stopped in front of him. "You, come with me," he said. Toma followed him to the command tent. Inside, a few high officers stood around a table, with maps and data screens. One of them was a woman named Rima. She wore a science badge and had clear, sharp eyes. "This is the one?" she asked. "Yes, Mom," the officer replied. "Name's Toma. No weapon training." But he stopped 3 aliens with his bare hands. Rima stepped closer. She didn't look scared. She looked curious. "Show me your hands," she said. Toma took off his gloves and held them out. Rima leaned in and examined them. She didn't pull back. Instead, she touched the skin near the knuckles, traced the thick joints, and looked at the small cracks. "These are not injuries," she said. "This is structure, natural structure." Toma looked confused. "What does that mean?" "It means your hands were made this way. You were born different. Maybe not broken. Maybe built for something else." The officers exchanged glances. One of them frowned. "Can we use him?" he asked. Rima nodded slowly. "We may not have a choice." Before Toma could ask anything more, alarms rang across the base, loud and sharp. Everyone moved at once. The enemy had arrived from the hills beyond the wall. Alien ships flew in low. Dropships landed outside the base. Soldiers in dark armor marched forward with plasma rifles and blade spears. The sky flashed with fire as defense turrets began to shoot. Toma ran back to his squad. Lena handed him a small communicator. "They're breaking through the east gate," she said. "We're assigned to civilian defense. We hold the shelter area." Toma nodded. His hands curled into fists. He didn't carry a weapon, but he didn't feel empty. He felt ready. The squad reached the shelter zone. Hundreds of families were being moved underground. A few guards tried to hold the outer line, but alien troops were moving fast. "Take cover," Lena shouted. "Protect the entrance. Don't let them in." Toma stood near the front, behind a broken supply truck. He saw the first wave of enemies. They were fast and tall, armored like before. But there were more of them this time. One alien aimed and fired. A human guard fell. Another ran but was cut down. The squad opened fire, but the enemy didn't stop. Toma didn't wait. He ran forward. The enemy didn't expect someone unarmed. One alien turned and tried to stab him with a blade spear. Toma caught the blade with both hands. The metal cracked like glass. He spun and slammed his palm into the alien's chest. Armor bent and bones shattered. Timur came at him. He moved between them, faster than he thought possible. His hands moved like tools. He didn't punch, he broke. He didn't push, he tore. Behind him, his squad watched in shock. They had seen brave fighters before, but this was something else. Toma was not just strong, he was something new. The aliens tried to surround him. One fired a shot that hit his side. He staggered but didn't fall. His blood mixed with dust, but he kept moving. He grabbed another alien by the arm and twisted. The limb snapped like a branch. He kicked another into a wall. The last enemy near the gate hesitated. It saw something in Toma's eyes. That made it turn and run. The squad moved forward and finished clearing the area. Lena ran to Toma. "Are you okay?" Toma nodded slowly. His side burned, but he could still stand. "You're not normal," she said. "But that's why we're alive." By night, the attack was over. The aliens had been pushed back. Many soldiers were injured or lost, but the shelter held. The people were safe. Toma sat on the ground, breathing hard. His hands were red and raw, but they didn't hurt. They never hurt. They only pulsed with strange energy. Rima came to him again. She sat beside him with a tablet. "I've studied your hands," she said. "There's something hidden in your bones, not just strength. Maybe memory, maybe something older." Toma looked at her. "Why me?" "I don't know," she said. "But this power, it's not a curse. It's a key, and we're going to find out what it opens." Toma looked at his hands once more. For the first time, he didn't feel shame. He felt purpose. The base was quiet again, but not peaceful. Soldiers walked around with tired eyes. Many were hurt. Many had lost friends, but they were alive, and they knew why. Toma's name was now known by everyone in Base 12. Some respected him, some feared him, some stayed away. But one person stayed close to Rima. She took Toma to a special room under the base. It was small and full of machines. Lights blinked across walls, and strange metal arms moved slowly in the air. "This is a lab I built when the base was still new," Rima said. "Back when people still believed we had time." Toma looked around. "Why am I here?" She turned on a large screen. It showed pictures of his hands, bones, muscles, veins. But there was something strange in the middle of each palm. "This," she said, pointing, "is not normal human structure. You have extra bone layers, and something more, old cells, hidden, deep, ancient, and locked. I believe your body is carrying a forgotten code." Toma didn't understand fully. A code for what? A different kind of weapon, she said. "Not build outside the body. Build in." He looked at his hands again. The cracks, the thickness, the strength. It all made more sense now. Rima smiled softly. "You're not the first human to be different. Long ago, before we had machines, warriors fought with bare hands. They were not like today's soldiers. They were faster, stronger, more focused. But they disappeared. Records say they were destroyed or hidden. You might be connected to them." "Why? Did they disappear?" Toma asked. "Maybe people feared them," she said. "Or maybe they were too dangerous. But now, we need them again." She stood up and walked to a small table. On it lay a strange set of gloves. They were not normal. Open-fingered, lined with a dark, flexible metal. "These are for you," Rima said. "Not to cover your power, to help guide it." Toma put them on. The gloves fit perfectly. Not tight, not heavy. His fingers felt stronger, faster. "Thank you," he said. "I'm not done yet," she replied. "There's still more to learn about you. But for now, the base needs you." That night, another wave of ships was seen near the planet. The command center watched their movements. It looked like they were not going to attack the base again. Instead, they were spreading out, searching for weak spots. The generals called for a small team to follow them and gather information. Lina's squad was chosen. Toma was added to the team. Before sunrise, they left in a small transport ship. Quiet and fast, they flew low through the clouds. The ship landed near a forest where alien dropships had been seen. Toma stepped out first. The forest was thick and full of strange sounds. His gloves buzzed slightly as he touched a tree. The metal reacted to the world around him. Lena gave a hand signal. The squad moved silently through the trees. Soon, they found what they were looking for. A clearing. In the middle stood a tall alien device. It was glowing and pulsing with blue light. Around it stood 3 guards and 2 machines. "What is that?" one soldier whispered. "Signal tower." Lena said, "They're calling for more troops." The plan was simple. Take pictures, mark the location, leave fast. But plans don't always work. One of the soldiers stepped on a dry branch. It snapped. The sound was small. But the aliens turned instantly. They saw the squad. The machines lit up. Weapons charged. "Run," Lena shouted. But Toma didn't run. He stepped forward. The machines fired. Toma rolled to the side and dashed forward. One guard blocked him. Toma struck its arm. The bone cracked. The alien screamed. The other machine swung at him. Toma ducked low, grabbed the leg, and lifted. The metal beast fell hard. Sparks flew. Lina's squad opened fire to cover him. Toma used the moment. He moved like water. No fear, only focus. He reached the signal tower. His hands glowed again. The gloves hummed. He placed his palms on the tower. The energy inside reacted. The tower shook. Then, with one sharp move, he pulled. The metal tore like cloth. The tower collapsed. The glow vanished. Silence followed. Toma turned around. The fight was over. The squad was safe. Lena ran to him. "You tore the whole thing down," she said, out of breath. "How did you do that?" "I don't know," he said. "My hands just knew what to do." They returned to the ship and flew back. The mission was a success. The enemy had lost one of their towers, but now they knew something else too. A new threat had arrived, a human without a gun. Later that night, in her lab, Rima looked at the report. She watched the footage from the squad's helmet cameras. She saw Toma rip apart the tower with his hands. She whispered to herself, "It's starting." In a quiet room nearby, Toma sat alone. He looked at his gloves, then slowly removed them. He stared at his hands once more. They no longer felt strange. They felt Writhe was not made to hold weapons, was made to become one. In the days after the mission, the enemy changed. Before, they moved without fear. They charged in groups, confident in their weapons and numbers. But now, they sent scouts first. They avoided close fights. They studied humans more carefully. They had seen what Toma could do. Toma stayed at Base 12, training every day. Rima gave him special tests. She made him push heavy blocks, break strong metals, and fight practice drones. She studied how his hands moved, how they changed under stress. "You're still growing," she told him. "Not just your strength, but your speed, your control. Your hands are learning too." Toma could feel it. Each time he used his power, it felt smoother, like a memory coming back slowly. But the enemy was not waiting for across the stars. Inside a dark chamber, an alien warlord sat on a stone throne. His name was Vronik, and he had ruled over 10 systems. His armor was old and full of scars. His eyes were cold. He watched a screen that showed Toma tearing through enemy lines. An officer beside him said, "This human fights with no weapon. Our units fear him. They call him Tear." Vronik stood up. He walked to a wall covered with weapons. Each one had a story. He chose none. Instead, he looked at his own hands. They were not like other aliens. One was made of metal and bone, built after an old battle. The other was thick and scarred, shaped through pain and war. "Send a message," Vronik said. "I will handle him myself." The officer hesitated. "Alone?" Vronik nodded. "The Tear will face me. 1-to-1. Back. On Earth, the air was heavy with smoke. Another attack had hit the western outpost. Toma and Lina's squad were sent to help. The outpost was almost gone when they arrived. Buildings burned, people cried, and in the center stood a tall figure, covered in black and silver armor. It was Vronik. Toma stepped forward. He felt something different about this enemy. Not just strength, something darker. Vronik looked at him and smiled slightly. So you are the one they fear. The human with tearing hands. Toma stayed quiet. Veronic dropped his weapon to the ground. No need for tools. Let us see what your hands can do. The fight began. Veronic moved fast for his size. He swung with power and skill. Toma blocked with his arms, dodged to the side, and struck back. Their hits shook the ground. Crowds watched from a distance. Soldiers stopped fighting just to see. Two beings. No guns, no help, just hands and will. Veronic grabbed Toma's shoulder and threw him against a wall. The stone cracked. Toma stood back up. Blood ran from his arm, but he didn't slow. He ran at Veronic and hit his chest. The armor bent. Veronic laughed. Good, you are strong. But I am older. I have broken planets. Toma didn't answer. He moved faster, ducked under a punch, and slammed both hands into Veronic's side. The metal arm sparked. Veronic grabbed him again. This time he lifted Toma and threw him into the ground. Dust rose. Lena shouted from behind a wall. Toma, get up. Toma's fingers dug into the dirt. His gloves were torn. His hands were shaking, but not from fear, from energy. He stood up slowly. His eyes locked on Veronic. He took a deep breath. Veronic stepped closer. You cannot win. You are just a boy. Toma's hands began to glow faintly, not with fire or light, but with a silent power, a memory deeper than thought. I am not just a boy, Toma said, and these are not just hands. He charged forward. His feet hit the ground hard. His palms struck like thunder. He didn't just block Veronic's attacks now. He moved through them. He hit Veronic in the side, then the chest, then the leg. Each strike pushed the warlord back. Veronic roared and swung with both arms. Toma caught the metal hand with his own and squeezed. Sparks flew. The arm cracked. With one more blow, Toma hit Veronic in the chest. The armor split open. The warlord fell to one knee, but Toma didn't strike again. He stood tall. His hands dropped to his sides. Veronic looked up, breathing hard. Why stop? Toma looked around. People watched. Soldiers, humans, even aliens taken prisoner. They all waited. We need something better, Toma said. Not endless war. Not more pain. Veronic stayed quiet. Then slowly, he bowed his head. You fight with hands, but you lead with heart. I was wrong. Toma stepped back. Lena and the others ran to him. His arms were cut. His clothes were torn. But he stood strong. Reem arrived later and checked his wounds. She smiled. You did something today no weapon could do. You changed the enemy's mind. That night, fires burned lower. People slept a little easier. A silence filled the base that had not been felt in weeks. Toma sat near the wall again. He looked at his hands. They were sore and marked, but they felt right. He was not made to hold guns, was made to end wars. The battle with Veronic changed everything. News spread across planets. The warlord who crushed human colonies had bowed before a young fighter with no gun. Other alien commanders began to pull back. Their soldiers were scared. They called Toma by one name now, the Tear. But Toma was not thinking about names. He was thinking about the truth. Why did he have this power? What was hiding inside his bones and blood? He had seen it. Veronic had strange hands too. Metal and bone, shaped by battle. It was not a normal mutation. There was something deeper. In the lab, Rima showed him old files, records from lost ships, notes from ancient missions. One report caught his eye. It showed a drawing of a human hand, thick fingers, wide palms, cracks across the skin. The same as his own. Rima pointed to the page. This is from over 100 years ago. A scout team found a body on a dead moon. The body was human, but the hands were not normal. Just like yours. We think they were part of a forgotten program, a project to create soldiers without weapons, a living defense system. Why was it forgotten? Toma asked. No one knows, Rima said. Maybe they were hidden. Maybe someone feared them. Maybe they were too strong. Toma stood up. Are there more like me? I think so, Rima said, and I think they're still out there. Maybe hiding. Maybe locked away. Toma looked at his gloves. He remembered the tower he crushed, the enemies he defeated. He could not be the only one. There had to be others. I want to find them, Toma said. If there are more, I need to know. Maybe we can help each other. Maybe we can help stop the war. Rima nodded. Then we need to go beyond this base. Beyond Earth. I will send out silent signals. I'll use the old frequencies. If someone is listening, they will answer. Toma trained harder. Not just to fight, but to move better, to use his power with control. His hands were no longer wild. They were sharp tools, fast and balanced. He helped repair buildings, carry heavy supplies, and guide new recruits. Lena watched him one day. You're not just strong, she said. You're calm now. Before, you were fighting like a storm. Now you fight like water. Toma smiled a little. Storms break everything. Water flows in shapes. One night, Rima came to his room with a message. A signal had been received. Not from Earth, from a mining station on a far planet called RAVIX-7. She showed the recording. A voice spoke, quiet and clear. I saw the one with tearing hands. I saw the fight. If he hears me, tell him he's not alone. Toma sat up straight. Who sent this? Rima answered. We don't know the name, but we traced the source. It's coming from deep inside the mining tunnels. The next day, Toma and Lena were sent on a ship with a small team. The journey to Ravix 7 took 5 days. The planet was cold, covered in black stone and metal dust. Long ago, humans had built machines there to pull energy from the ground. Now, it was almost empty. The team landed near the old mining zone. Buildings were broken. Wires hung from walls. But one tunnel still showed signs of power. A weak signal. Kept blinking. Toma led the way. His gloves pulsed softly. The tunnel walls were tight, but he moved with focus. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. After some time, they reached a heavy door. It looked sealed from the inside. Toma stepped forward. He placed both hands on the metal. The surface vibrated. His fingers found hidden marks, shapes like those on his gloves. He pushed. The door opened with a long sound. Inside stood a figure. Not tall, not wide, but strong. The person stepped into the light. He had no weapon. His hands looked just like Toma's. My name is Naro, he said. I've been waiting for you. Toma stepped closer. The others stayed back, watching in silence. You're one of us? Toma asked. Naro nodded. Yes, I was born with these hands. I was trained in secret, but when the world changed, I went into hiding. Why? Toma asked. Because people fear what they don't understand, Naro said. They fear hands that don't carry weapons but break them. Toma looked down at his own hands. I don't want people to fear me. I want them to know we can protect, that we are not monsters. Naro smiled. Then you were ready. They sat and talked for hours. Naro told him about the old ways, about how the hands were once a gift passed down, not from machines but from nature and history. He said the power inside was not just for war, it was for balance, for justice. Toma listened carefully. Each word felt like a key unlocking something inside him. Before leaving, Naro gave him a small stone with markings. There are more, he said. This stone will help you find them. Toma accepted it with respect. I will bring them back. We will not hide anymore. On the flight back, Lena sat beside him. Did you find what you were looking for? Toma nodded. I found a beginning. Back at Base 12. People welcomed him like a hero. But Toma didn't stop. He trained harder. He studied maps. He watched for signals. He knew this was just the start, because more enemies would come. Bigger ones, stronger ones. But he would not face them alone. He would rise with others like him. Tears were waking. The time had come. Toma stood at the edge of a wide clearing on a ruined planet far from Earth. The sky was dull and gray. The wind carried dust that swirled around the broken buildings. This was the place where the final fight would happen. Across from him stood Vronik, the alien warlord who had once ruled many worlds. His metal arm gleamed under the weak sunlight. His eyes were cold and hard as stone. Between them, no weapons rested. Only to fighters with hands made for tearing. Toma looked at his own hands, the scars, the strength, the power inside that no one else could see. Veronik spoke first. You have grown strong, human, but you are still young, Toma answered calmly. Strength is more than muscles. It is will. The ground between them was cracked and dry. Both fighters moved forward slowly. Then, without warning, they charged Veronik. Swung first, his metal fist crashed down like a hammer. Toma rolled away and jumped to his feet. His hands moved like lightning. The fight was not just strength. It was skill, speed, and heart. Each strike was met with a block or dodge. Neither gave ground easily. Veronik grabbed Toma's arm and twisted. Pain shot through Toma's bones, but he held on. With his free hand, he punched Veronik's side. The warlord grunted but kept fighting. The air was filled with sounds of impact, cracks in the earth, the clash of skin on armor. Toma remembered Rima's words. Control your power. Use your hands not just to break but to protect. He moved with new purpose. When Veronik swung a heavy punch, Toma caught it and used the warlord's own force to throw him. Veronik hit the ground but quickly stood. His eyes burned with anger. He charged again, faster this time. Toma waited. Then he reached out and grabbed Veronik's metal arm. His fingers dug deep. The metal creaked out with all his strength. Toma twisted. The metal arm cracked and bent. Veronik roared in pain. The warlord fell to one knee. His armor broke. His weapon lay shattered nearby. Toma stood over him, breathing hard but steady. He looked into Veronik's eyes. Why do you fight? Toma asked. Veronik looked up slowly. Because the strong must rule. Because the weak must fall. Toma shook his head. I fight so no one must fall. So the weak can stand. Veronik closed his eyes. Then, with a deep breath, he bowed his head. You have shown me a new way. Human, he said softly. Toma helped him stand. The warlord's eyes were no longer cold but thoughtful. Together, they walked to the nearby camp. Soldiers from both sides watched in silence. Some could not believe what they had seen. Later, at the base, Rima and Lena greeted Toma. You did it, Lena said with a smile. Rima looked proud. You changed not just a fight but a future. Toma looked at his hands once more. They had been called broken, useless, but now they were the reason for hope. He knew the road ahead would be long. More battles would come. But for the first time, he believed in peace. His hands were not made just to tear. They were made to build a new world. After the battle with Veronik, everything began to change. Toma returned to Base 12 as a hero. But he was not interested in fame or titles. His hands were still scarred. But they carried a new purpose. He knew the war was not over. Other enemies watched from the stars. But now, humans had something new, a symbol of hope and strength that did not need weapons. Toma stood in front of a group of new recruits. Many had strange hands like his. Some had thicker fingers. Some had long nails that looked like claws. All had been hiding their gifts for years. You are not alone anymore, Toma told them. We are the Tears. We fight not just with weapons, but with our will and our hands. The recruits listened carefully. Some smiled. Some nodded. For the first time, they felt they belonged. Rima worked beside them. She had built new gloves and armor that helped control their power. She studied the hands and helped each Tear learn how to use their strength without losing control. Lena led training sessions. She taught them how to move fast, how to protect others, and how to think like warriors and leaders. Together, they grew stronger. One day, Toma was called to the command center. A group of former enemies had sent a message. They wanted to meet. They wanted peace. Toma felt a mix of hope and doubt. Could enemies become friends? Could old wounds heal? At the meeting, representatives from different planets sat together. They talked quietly at first, then louder, then with passion. Toma spoke last. We have been fighting for too long, he said. Our hands have torn many things, but they can also build. We want to build a future where no one fears each other, a future where hands help, not hurt. The leaders listened, some nodded, others looked away. But the door was open. Over the next months, peace talks grew, borders reopened, trade began. Again, The galaxy started to heal. Thomas' hands helped more than just battles now. He helped rebuild homes destroyed by war. He lifted fallen trees. He held the hands of children who had lost everything. He stood on a hill one evening. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and red. Around him were new buildings, green fields, and smiling faces. He looked down at his hands. They were strong. They were kind, not made for holding weapons, made for tearing away hate, made for building hope.